Traoré's Russian surprise. What did he bring home? He left in silence. No headlines, no entourage, just a name, Traoré, and a mission cloaked in secrecy. For weeks, whispers swirled through diplomatic circles and social media like smoke before a fire. In the heart of Russia, behind closed doors, something happened. Something unexpected. And now he's back. But what did Traoré bring with him? A message, a warning, or something far more valuable? Tonight, we uncover the twists, the truths, and the untold story of Traoré's Russian surprise. Buckle up, because what he brought home might just change everything. This is not just another visit. This is Traoré's Russian surprise. Traoré's Russian surprise. What did he bring home? Why did Traoré go to Russia? Traoré's trip to Moscow on May 9, 2025, was primarily to join other world leaders at the Victory Day Parade, a major event celebrating Russia's historical role in World War II. However, the visit quickly turned into something more. Traoré met with Russian President Vladimir Putin and other top officials to discuss cooperation between Burkina Faso and Russia. This wasn't his first trip to Russia. He had previously attended the Russia-Africa Summit in 2023, but this time the stakes felt higher. Burkina Faso is facing serious challenges, including a worsening security crisis fueled by jihadist groups, economic struggles, and a desire to break free from Western influence, particularly from former colonial power France. Traoré saw Russia as a potential partner to help address these issues. During his visit, Traoré was warmly received. Russian media covered his arrival extensively, and African students in Moscow greeted him with enthusiasm, comparing him to Burkina Faso's revolutionary hero Thomas Sankara. Traoré, dressed in his signature combat fatigues and red beret, spoke passionately about pan-Africanism, anti-imperialism, and the need for African nations to control their own destinies. His message resonated with many young Africans, both in Burkina Faso and across the continent, who see him as a bold leader challenging the status quo. Strengthening military ties. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's visit to Moscow marked a significant shift in Burkina Faso's foreign policy, deepening military ties with Russia amid ongoing jihadist insurgencies linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State. For over a decade, these groups have controlled large parts of the country, and Traoré, who seized power in a 2022 coup, has criticized Western powers, particularly France, for failing to curb the violence while exploiting Burkina Faso's resources. Instead, he views Russia as a more dependable ally in combating terrorism. In discussions with President Vladimir Putin, Traoré focused on military cooperation, emphasizing knowledge sharing and access to modern equipment rather than direct aid given Russia's commitments in Ukraine. Putin pledged continued support, including training for Burkina Faso's security forces and assistance in countering radical groups. This builds on existing Russian involvement, with hundreds of Africa Corps personnel deployed since 2024 to bolster counterterrorism efforts and protect Traoré's regime. The visit likely secured commitments for additional weapons, military gear, and advanced training for Burkinabè troops, critical for Traoré's goal of reclaiming jihadist-held territory. A May 3, 2025, X-Post referenced a huge deal with Russia, hinting at imminent deliveries of equipment and enhanced training, strengthening Traoré's efforts to stabilize Burkina Faso. Economic and scientific cooperation. Beyond military support, Traoré's visit focused on economic and scientific partnerships. Burkina Faso is rich in gold and other minerals, but much of its wealth has historically been controlled by foreign companies. Traoré has taken bold steps to change this, nationalizing gold mines and setting up a state-owned mining company that requires foreign firms, including Russia's Nordgold, to share 15% of their local operations and transfer technical know-how to Burkinabè workers. During his Moscow trip, Traoré pushed for Russian investment in Burkina Faso's mining sector and the development of new industries, such as gold refining and agricultural processing plants. Traoré also visited the Mendeleev University of Chemical Technology in Moscow, where he spoke to African students about the importance of science and education. He highlighted Burkina Faso's need for skilled engineers and scientists to develop its own industries. Russia agreed to expand educational opportunities, doubling the number of government scholarships for Burkinabè students to study in Russia for the 2024 to 2025 academic year. This means more young Burkinabè will gain expertise in fields like engineering and technology, which could help Burkina Faso reduce its dependence on foreign expertise. Additionally, Russia has been providing humanitarian aid such as 25,000 tons of free wheat in 2024 to address food shortages in Burkina Faso. Traoré's discussions with Russian officials likely secured further economic support, including trade deals to boost Burkina Faso's exports and diversify its economy. These agreements are part of Traoré's broader vision of self-reliance, where Burkina Faso produces and processes its own goods rather than exporting raw materials. A symbolic victory for pan-Africanism. Perhaps the most significant surprise Traoré brought home was symbolic. His visit to Moscow was a bold statement against Western dominance and a rallying cry for pan-Africanism. Traoré's speeches, broadcast on Russian media like RT and Sputnik, criticized imperialism and accused Western powers of fueling terrorism to keep African nations weak. He argued that Burkina Faso's struggles with jihadist groups were not just about local security, but part of a larger imperialist plot to plunder Africa's resources. This message struck a chord with many Africans, especially the youth, who are frustrated with decades of Western intervention and slow development. Traoré's alignment with Russia also sent a message to other African leaders. By openly embracing Russia as a partner, he challenged the influence of organizations like ECOWAS, which he is accused of serving Western interests. Burkina Faso, along with Mali and Niger, has severed ties with ECOWAS and expelled French troops, signaling a shift toward a multipolar world where African nations choose their own allies. Traoré's warm reception in Moscow, coupled with his defiant rhetoric, boosted his image as a fearless leader willing to stand up to global powers. Trials and criticisms. While Traoré's Russian partnerships have energized his supporters, they have also drawn criticism. Some analysts argue that his reliance on Russian military support risks replacing one foreign power, France, with another, Russia. Others question whether Traoré can deliver on his promises, given Burkina Faso's ongoing security crisis. Despite his efforts, jihadist attacks have continued and over 2 million people remain displaced. Critics also point to his authoritarian tendencies, such as cracking down on dissent and suspending foreign media, as signs that he may prioritize power over democratic reforms. Moreover, the economic benefits of Traoré's Russian deals are not guaranteed. Nationalizing industries and building new refineries require time and expertise, and Burkina Faso's economy remains fragile, with a per capita income of less than $800. If these projects fail to deliver quick results, Traoré's popularity could wane, especially among young Burkinabè who see him as a savior. What's next for Burkina Faso? Traoré's Russian surprise is a mix of practical gains and bold symbolism. He brought home promises of military support, including weapons and training, which could strengthen Burkina Faso's fight against jihadists. Economic deals, such as Russian investment in mining and agriculture, aim to reduce dependence on foreign powers and create jobs. Educational partnerships will train the next generation of Burkinabè scientists and engineers, laying the groundwork for long-term development. Most importantly, Traoré's visit reinforced his image as a champion of African sovereignty, inspiring millions across the continent. However, the road ahead is tough. Traoré must balance his ambitious vision with the realities of governing a country in crisis. If he can turn Russian support into tangible improvements in security and prosperity, he may solidify his legacy as a transformative leader. But if the challenges prove too great, his Russian surprise could become a risky gamble. For now, Traoré remains a polarizing figure, a hero to some, a dictator to others, but his trip to Moscow has undoubtedly put Burkina Faso on a new path. Only time will tell what this path holds. What began as a quiet visit ended with a revelation no one saw coming. Was this the first move in a larger game, or simply a man bringing home answers to questions no one dared to ask? One thing is clear: Russia gave Traoré more than just hospitality. And now the world is watching, waiting for what comes next. Some secrets come home with a passport, others come with power. If you think this was just the beginning, wait until you see what's coming. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. The next chapter is already unfolding.